Hi, welcome back to another episode of Aviation Champions. I'm your host, Miranda Gahn, co-founder of Lex Aero Aviation Law Firm. This morning we're talking to Joe Pawelski. He is the founder and chief technology officer for CisLunar Industries. Good morning, Joe.
How's it going?
Great. So glad to have you on the show. So tell us a little bit about CisLunar Industries.
Well, CisLunar Industries transforms power to run space. Everything on orbit scales on power. Right now, satellites are usually in the hundreds of watts. Some of the new satellites are in the thousands of watts. The biggest satellites ever built are tens of thousands of watts. Space station is around 200,000 watts,
Wow.
but you can't use all that power.
Yeah.
And we need 10 to 100 times more power to actually do the cool stuff that you see in Star Trek, Star Wars. We can make that a reality. So that's what we do. We build that stuff.
Well, I love that. So your company is working on making the space travel and all those space stuff that we're talking about. And of course, on TV, Star Trek and Star Wars, an actual reality for people. I think that's really fascinating. I know a lot of people are familiar with Elon Musk and what he's doing with SpaceX, but you are working on technology that'll make that possible on a grander scale. Does that sound right?
That's exactly right. Elon and SpaceX have really paved the way for new space to create an entire new industrial economy off-world. It's incredible. Launch used to be very expensive. Everything was bespoke, so 1 to 2 of things would be made.
Sure.
And now we're making hundreds and thousands, and it's just 10 to 100 times bigger economies are possible off-world in space, just in CisLunar, which is where our name comes from. Earth to Moon, that
Okay.
area, huge industrial possibilities.
Wow, that makes sense. So how did you get started? Space is really fascinating. It sounds like you're working on cutting edge technology. Tell us a little bit more about your background.
Well, I came from, I'm a thermal fluids engineer, so I'm a super geek. Some engineers consider that one of the hardest professions, but so rocket scientist, that's where I went to school for.
Okay.
Exactly. But interestingly enough, I spent about 15 years in heavy industry. I built hundreds of plants, lots of high-speed manufacturing lines for cans and bottles and boxes and you name it, anything you've seen in the hardware store, grocery store, etc. I invented a novel positioning system that allows these high-speed lines to convert to run all kinds of different products. And then I heard about space resources through Colorado School of Mines, which is here in my backyard, and said, hey, my dream has always been to do something in space, to do something more, to extend the presence of humanity off-world. I really want to do that. So I went to grad school, did a master's certificate because I got invited to be chief technology officer of CisLunar Industries. And we won some NASA SBIRs. It was off to the races. It was just, I couldn't believe it. How fast. I thought I'd go work for Lockheed or somewhere else,
Sure.
but I was able to just get my feet right in, and we just kept winning SBIRs. We started winning Space Force SBIRs, and now we have a number of commercial customers. So that's how we did it.
That's really fascinating. So, we talk about space and how your technology is powerful enough to power things to space, but do you have clients or customers that use your technology for general aviation or commercial aviation?
So right now we haven't focused. We've mainly been focusing on space because space is quite difficult.
Yes.
Everyone says space is hard, and this is true. Space is getting easier thanks to SpaceX and a number of other access to space capabilities. So our whole goal is to if we can make something in space, we can make it for the ground, and we can. If it works in space for 10 years, it's going to work on the ground for a long time. And typically things that are not radiation hardened, we can make about 10 times cheaper than we would, or way cheaper than we would for space. So that's been our process. We have worked on some opportunities for drones, for power systems on some pretty interesting land-based or air-based systems. But we don't have any commercial customers for that at this time. All of our commercial work is actually in space.
So tell us a little bit about how you generate such great power. I think when people think about engines and generating power, they think of, turbine engines or, regular car type engines, the cylinder engines. So tell us about, how you might generate such great power to power things that go into space.
Oh, that's a great question. So in space, solar panels are the primary means. In the 50s, when we launched our first satellites, that was because of the invention of solar panels.
Okay.
So that technology really enabled it. Solar panel technology has gotten a lot better. You can get up to 30%. You can also get very inexpensive, like it looks like wrapping paper. It's very thin film solar. So it's very light. It's not quite as efficient, but it's very light and easy to make. So that's the number one thing that generates power on space. The other thing would be nuclear. So we are on a nuclear electric propulsion project that's around 100 kilowatts. If you want a lot of power, the economics of nuclear become very interesting when you get up to 100 kilowatts and that kind of power level.
Wow.
And what CisLunar does, though, is we actually take that power and we transform it to run the things that it needs to run. So we work a lot with electric propulsion, which requires high voltages, hundreds or thousands of volts. The power generated on a solar panel is usually in the less than 100 volts. Some of the newer ones are in several hundred volts. So we have to take that power and we have to convert it. So you can think about CisLunar as kind of being when you see a switch gear for power transmission. You'll be driving by and you'll see all those high voltage lines, and then you'll see the facility that steps it up or steps it down for the grid. That's the kind of equipment we build. Or another way to look at it is the thing that attaches your laptop to the wall, that little brick, or your cell phone.
Yeah.
That takes the power that's AC, turns it into DC. We do that, except we usually work with a lot more exciting, spicy voltages. You know, we work with thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of volts.
Well, that's really impressive and very fascinating. So tell us, what is the goal then for CisLunar Industries, in the next 18 months?
Well, we have 7 flights that are planned. So these are flights that run high-power electric propulsion systems, which enables dynamic maneuver. Dynamic maneuver is the capability for a satellite to move wherever it wants without having to worry about running out of fuel or running out of power. So this is actually one of the top priorities for U.S. Space Force, is to be able to maneuver and outmaneuver anybody else on orbit. Also, orbital logistics. So we work with a lot of servicer-type companies, tow trucks for space, companies that move a payload from one orbit to another orbit. They also need high-efficiency propulsion. So we actually build the power system that runs those plasma thrusters, which sounds wild, sounds very Star Wars, Star Trek, but those are real. They've been flying since the late 1980s.
Wow.
And now SpaceX is flying thousands. We expect to see tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of electric propulsion systems that require the type of power processing that we build on orbit.
Wow, that's really impressive and very exciting. So tell us, Joe, if someone was, thinking of pursuing a career similar to yours, what career advice would you offer them?
Well, number one, don't hesitate. Just do it. This is a rapidly growing market. The number of, we just hired, 5 engineers or something like that in the past month or two. So things are going gangbusters right now. There's dozens of other companies that are doing really cool stuff. Right there in Jacksonville, there's Starcatcher, great company to follow. They're building the power grid in space.
Okay.
And so you have a lot of orbital data centers. You have a lot of companies that are building servicing spacecraft that will actually manipulate satellites and potentially build satellites in orbit. And then the whole lunar program. I mean, if you want to build stuff on the moon, there's no time like now to get involved. So I recommend, Florida has a number of universities that are doing space programs. You have the Space Coast there in Florida, which is a great opportunity. But taking some courses is a good way to meet the people that are doing this sort of thing. That's how I was able to transition from heavy industry into aerospace. Of course, I started out in aerospace, which helped, but I spent 15 years not in aerospace. Okay. And I happened to go back to school with a bunch of folks from all the big aerospace firms that wanted to start their own new space companies. So now we're all friends. That's a great way to do it. Is build that network. Find the people that are doing space, hang out with them, learn about space, learn what Delta V is and how that works. And that's the best way to do it. You'll meet all the people that you want to start a company with or who want to hire you.
Well, that's great advice. Networking is so powerful, I think, in any industry. So I appreciate that. Well, it's been wonderful having you, Joe, and it sounds like you're doing some really fascinating things, and we look forward to keeping in touch and following your progression. So if anyone in our audience is interested in finding you or your company, how can they do that?
The best way is our website, www.CisLunarIndustries.com. So CisLunarIndustries.com, all one word. That's a great way to find us. I'm on LinkedIn. Anybody who's involved in new space probably knows how to find me. So LinkedIn is a great way also to reach out. And I love helping founders of new companies. If you're starting a space business and you want some advice from someone who's been through it and you want to help, get into the same network that I'm in, please find me on LinkedIn, reach out. I would love to help you.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for the offer, Joe. Again, it was a pleasure hosting you. Thank you so much for taking the time on your busy day to join us.
Thank you so much, Miranda. It's been great. It's been a pleasure.